As I say, we will know Isac's fate this afternoon, and if he does have a charge to answer, we'll then find out when that will be dealt with early in the week.
He'll be quite nervous, but I'm sure he'll cope with it, and the boys will get around him and do our best.
Not in my control, and the club's dealing with that, and really love to see him out there.
He's a part of our success this year, and it'll be sorely missed if he's not there.
I understand it a couple of times, and I don't think there's too much in that.
Johnson, the proud Rabbitoh himself, the local junior who has waited so long for this moment. That's history. Tio is over. He's gone through the air like Superman. Unstoppable.
It's a fantastic story for many people.
Let's do this.
Got a few of the boys here sitting back talking footy. Just finished their training session, worked very hard. Issac Luke, look at the body on that guy. Muscles everywhere.
Pomeroy. And he's picked up and driven backwards. A terrific tackle from the youngster Issac Luke.
I remember his first game when he came in, it was crucial against Melbourne. He was skinny little bloke, but he's full of heart. For a little bloke, he's strong as hell. And
the way he could hit, the way he could whack, oh, you love being next to him.
Oh, Minicello again has been bombarded by Luke. This is it. Goes to Sutton. They'll score again. Issac Luke extends the lead for South Sydney.
When Bully first come to the club, we moved in together. Issac had just come over from the Dogs on a minimum wage contract, and I remember watching Bully play in a reserve grade game early on and thought, he's got something about him, this bloke. He just loved to compete and hated to lose, but he was just so fast out of dummy half. But the best thing about his game was his defence.
Good shot from Issac.
He was one of them guys who you knew if he was playing, you were always a chance.
We were very close with Bully as well, like me and the brothers, who called him the fifth brother at times. And
we'd always sing in the changing rooms. I'd sing, he'd play guitar. I was very close with Issac.
Not naming names, but everyone said that, yeah, you got bad breath for trainers, huh?
The segment's shit.
3 metres out, Luke coming back to the right-hand side. Will get across the line himself.
Just saying g'day to Mum.
Yeah, he was loved by everyone, the fans, the boys. Never let anyone down. He went out there, and if he needed something done, he'd go and do it. I thought he was the best hooker in the game at the time. And
when I first got into grade, he was like always grab me. I'd stand back, just let them do the drills, and then he'd literally just grab me, like, get in there.
I wouldn't say that I was like his master, or he was my apprentice. We actually learned together. What I picked from him was his deception.
His sort of style of footy was just like, wasn't the same as mine. He was a hard runner. I wasn't going to be able to play like he did or tackle like he did, but yeah, what I took the most from him was probably like the way he treated other people. As I've always tried to model myself like that to other players now, especially other young hookers or hookers in general, just try and teach them as much as I can. Like he was incredible for me. Just made me confident in myself.
Rabbitohs coming back to ANZ Stadium. There's the siren. The Titans had broken a 6-game losing streak.
And I think it was after that game where Maz was like, oh, I'm just going to play Bully this week. I just wanted to get the 80 minutes in. And, mate, honestly, I didn't even think I was going to survive after Bully just came back from injury. So I got to play a few more games. He told me that I wasn't going to play New South Wales Cup either. And he just didn't want me to get injured just in case anything happened. It's one of those things where every coach will say it. You never know what could happen. Like, just be ready. I just didn't think they'd suspend someone for a grand final.
Now, I'm pretty strong on this. That is not a tackle that a player should miss a grand final on.
No way.
There is, and it doesn't help Luke Ricketson, and it doesn't help Cameron Smith in recent seasons. But we have to acknowledge that a grand final is different to a normal game. If I was asked or told at the beginning of my career that I could either play representative football, play Origin for my country, or I could appear in one grand final, it's a no-brainer for me. I would have chosen the grand final.
Wow. He signed with South in 2007 when it was probably a down period. Back then, South were a bit of a rabble. He stayed loyal, and now the great period, with the salary cap, you only get a small window to play in grand final.
And there are people out there who will say you've broken the rules and they're in place, and there's no disputing that. But as I say, you've got to acknowledge that this is not just another game.
Asper on the right-hand side, switches it back to Kenny now, isolates Issac Luke, who picks him up and takes him to ground in awkward fashion.
I had a pretty long history of it. And then I just got off a charge for kicking out against Michael Innes. It is what it is, bro. Like,
to miss a game of its magnitude, it can't happen.
Very tough week for Issac Luke.
On Sunday, Issac Luke won't be playing.
Yeah, which is bullshit. I've seen worse off throughout that year. Still see worse today, nothing happens.
Oh, it's like crazy to think like he missed a grand final for that. But when you look back, it doesn't feel like he missed it because it's like he was a big part of what we did that year. And
I remember as a young fella, Bully took me in, so I'd become really close with Bull. And obviously see the disappointment when that announcement was read was heartbreaking.
To have to walk outside and see Bully suspended, that was a tough moment of my coaching career, that one.
I then actually got up off my chair, went and shook the judge's hands and walked out. I actually stopped at KFC, got me a feed and I broke down. I rang my dad, rang my wife, Kayla, said, I'll just get me some KFC, I'll come around. She said, you take your time. I put on Instagram while I was waiting for my food that it wasn't about me and after make sure Appy's ready.
You know, Appy's done a great job when he's come into the team, and Issac has mentored Appy in a great way. So we know we've got a quality player coming into the team, and the team, you know, we've got our plan and our processes in place that he just slots in and away we go.
I remember ringing Appy on the way home after I spoke to Bull and said, mate, you're ready to go, you've got to walk in tomorrow and push the chest out and you're going to be it, so get ready.
So, I just remember getting the phone call and I was in panic stations. Heart started racing. And it wasn't so much that I was in the grand final, it was more so that I'd been partying and drinking for 8 weeks straight, pretty much. I just didn't know if I was going to have the lungs for it. Got the shopping that I got, and then I just like put everything in the car and I drove straight to the park. Didn't take the shopping home or nothing. And I started doing sprints around the oval, Malcolm's, just trying to blow some cobwebs out. I'm like, because even I went and watched the game, the Roosters game with the boys, and then I went out after. It was like, I was young at the time. I don't do that stuff anymore, but I was just living the life back then, like a proper delinquent.
Appy Koroisau's a great player, and you know the games he did fill in, he's done a tremendous job there. All the boys are really confident in him. We know he can get the job done, and you know, Isac's been a great help for him. He's developed him over these last few weeks, and you know that Isac's going to be sorely missed, but you know the boys are confident and happy.
It was like this slow grind that South had been in. Bully had been there for so long, and it all just had to like work up until that point, and then like I obviously didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything to him, but at the same time I still felt so guilty for getting to play in that grand final pretty much.
The next day I went in. He come flying up to me, I'm so sorry. I was like, sorry, we got this.
Yeah, he's like, bro, you apologise to me again, I'm going to punch you in the head. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying sorry.
For me, I was just trying to nurture Appy throughout the week. You're good, make sure he's alright, and just give him a voice.
He's like, I don't need any miracles from you, just play your footy, that's all that matters. And if you can do your job well, then all the boys will take care of the rest. And I was like, yeah, it was big, especially being so young as well at the time and so inexperienced. And he's just such a clown. Like he's never serious with him. So he'll start off serious and then just say something silly, and I'm like, it was good. It was a good laugh.
You know, Isac's a team player, and you know, first thing he turned around and said, you know, he's going to be here to support the team, and you know, that's the kind of character he is. You know, it's unfortunate in the event, but at the end of the day, he's part of our team and part of our squad.
It was a grand final lunch. Went to that and they didn't have a seat for me. So Sam went and grabbed a seat from someone else, took it off, put me right next to him, because I wasn't supposed to be a part of that.
They saw him as suspended, and you know, he shouldn't be part of anything with the grand final and shouldn't be on the field and shouldn't be this and shouldn't be that. But we never felt that way, and we wanted to do everything to make sure that he was part of the team.
South Sydney threw up a stink, so I was allowed to get out onto the field, do all that now.
Now I know you'll join me in wishing both the Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs all the best out there at ANZ Stadium on Sunday night. Would you please raise a glass and a toast to the Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs for the season they've had in 2014.
John sends to Hicks, on to Ryan, to Greaves, as Canterbury begin a promising raid. But Brown's reverse pass to Gardner is intercepted by McCarthy, who flashes into the open space. And the 15.5 stone forward is in no danger of being caught by his pursuers. He scores between the posts, his 13th try of the season.
We'd been in the grand final 2 years before it, and if you lose the grand final, it's the worst feeling you can ever have. We just went out there and just played as a team, and luckily we only just got home, but the will to win was always there, you know, and Canterbury were always coming back at us. It's good that we were able to win our first premiership together as a side and able to keep that going for a few more years, you know.
The full-time hit is gone. It's all over. The match is all over. And the Rabbitohs have done it again.
Discussing scrum tactics with Walters is captain and prop forward John Sattler.
Sats started it. Sats whacked the bloke first.
The anticipated clash of the big men materialises as Manly endeavours to charge up the centre.
He smashed Sats downwards and Sats's mouth all come apart. And he broke it there, and split him there. And Sats went to the ground and he got up and I could see blood everywhere and I said, "You all right?" He went to say something, I couldn't understand what he was saying. Didn't realise his jaw was broke. Manly must have knew he had a broken jaw because the first time he took the ball up, Pogo Morgan, who was about 6'5", would come up and he's going bang and he smashed him straight in the face. And I thought, oh, that's the end of Sats. And got up, played the ball, said, "You all right, mate?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said to Cootie and John O'Neill, and I said, "He's broke his jaw. We better keep the ball away from him." Because he wouldn't go down. And we played up until half time. We're going around him and through him and what have you. And he got there at half time and he held his jaw together and he said, "The next one that doesn't give me the ball," he said, "we'll have one of these." And we said, "Sats, you've got to go off, mate." And he said, "I'm not going off."
Sattler to Grant. A lofted pass to Ray Brannigan. South under pressure. South's line is threatened. Through South's rucks and Manly's attacks become stilted. Sattler to Sims, who tries for another field goal as Thompson comes through. Sattler sends the backs away and Souths have an overlap, keeping their line intact whilst scoring 3 tries. Souths win 23-12 to take their 19th premiership.
Before we done our jog around the oval, he said to Johnny Martin, who was one of the committee men, he said, "Go in the end dressing room and put the bath on for me." So we'd done the lap of honour, what they do in those days, not like it is now, and we went up into the room and we're all sitting there and we're squirting champagne at each other, as you do, or whatever. In those days, a journalist could come into the dressing room and they all sort of come in and they come towards me first and I was saying, "Sats broke his jaw." I said, "Don't know what you're talking about." They go to Ronnie Coote, "But Sats broke his jaw, don't know." So they finished up over where Sats was in the bath. And they're saying, "John, you all right?" And he's going, "Yeah, I'll be out in a minute, Anyway, after about 15 minutes, Clive Churchill went over to him and said, "Sats, you've got to come out, these blokes got to file their stories for tomorrow's newspapers." The door opened, we all looked to see what was happening. And as Sats went to say, "How you going?" his jaw all fell apart. And all the journos then flew out saying, "He's broke his jaw, and they wrote their stories. So I remember saying to Sats later on, "What was you doing in the bath?" He said, "I was trying to push it all back in."
Full time, Souths win 16-10. It's their second successive premiership and their 4th in 5 years.
Great era for South Sydney, and I remember when I first started playing for South, I was only 18, and when we used to lose a game and I'd come out of Redfern Oval or cricket ground or wherever we were playing, and I was seeing the South supporters crying, you know, old ladies and that crying, and you didn't realise how much the team meant to these people in the area. I mean, they had nothing else, they had no money, but what they had was a football team. And they used to get the enjoyment out of watching the great sides play. It just made us try that a little bit harder, and yeah, you just weren't playing for yourself, you're playing for that whole area.
It's been 43 years. The fans had been suffering for a long time. We wanted to just embrace everything and do it all. And
look at the faces that they have, look at the joy that we bring them. Excitement times is what we live for, that's what we play for.
It was very hard not to get caught up in how good of a moment it was and how exciting it was, but we still had a job to do.
It's going to go quick, there's a lot of things to do, but we don't take our focus away from what we need to do here.
You train and you play all year to get to this moment, and you think the one thing you want to do is just bunker down, stay in your bubble, do your training, focus on the game.
Now, I was talking to you backstage, and not many people know this, but you're keen to smash James to prove you're the best pommy in the country.
As soon as that final whistle against Penrith went, I was being asked about playing Sam in the final.
It has been built as the Battle of Britain between you two. Of course, the Bunnies, 43 years since they played in a grand final, won a premiership.
South's drought of however many years. Bulldogs haven't won one since 2004. We're sort of due as well.
It's my first time. I'm just enjoying the experience. I mean, there's quite a buzz around town, and it's a big week, with all the media and things, but we've got a good group that have done it with a smile on the face and just enjoyed the whole experience.
It was mentally fatiguing for me, so I could only imagine how it felt for the other boys, especially the senior leaders.
If you win the premiership, is there a chance of a premiership tattoo? Where do you reckon you're going to get it?
I've got a job to do on Sunday first. We'll be preparing our best to give ourselves every chance to win.
All the photos, the luncheons, all that sort of stuff, and just when are we going to start training?
If you train under Madge, you understand that there's really high standards, especially about ball control, and there was never ever a lot of balls on the ground. But I remember when the crowds came to watch us and we sort of tried to have a bit of fun with some games before training, and there was balls being thrown everywhere. I think everyone was just too excited, and there was a lot of drop ball, and I was just like, are we taking this a bit too lightly?
Well, you get caught up in a little bit, right? We're going to win this, it's all good, we'll be sweet.
But Madge had been around a lot of grand finals before. He'd seen a lot of success, so I think he understood what grand final week was about: pulling back, enjoying it, smiling, having fun, staying relaxed. Don't play the game before you get there. Embrace all the media opportunities, embrace all the promotions, the grand final breakfast, and it's all part of it. Going on the footy show, love it, boys. There's a whole bunch of guys sitting at home that want to be where you are. So I think we handled that week really well.
Did you always think it'd be your destiny to do something like this?
Oh, mate, not back in the day, wouldn't have thought it. It was always a dream as a kid, but now it's living a dream at the moment today.
It's all stuff as a kid you see on TV and say that you love to be a part of. When it sunk in that we're all part of this grand final setup, it was amazing.
Sutt's mum came up with a call, wished us good luck, and
one bit of advice for John and the Rabbitohs, what is it?
To Madge and the boys, a ripping and a tearing.
A ripping and a tearing.
She's a classic, my mum. She's always been my biggest supporter. That's all the boys had to do, ripping and a tearing and get the job done.
Thanks, mate. I'm with Rabbitoh skipper John Sutton. Sutto, you've been with the club all of your life. Has there been a prouder day for you?
Mate, I'm very proud of this team. We've come a long way, and it's been a great year so far, and I can't wait to get out there Sunday. After the footy show, I think that was pretty much it. And I trained Saturday over, and I remember just being at Redfern. It was a beautiful day, and just was like, I can't believe how good this is.
It was like an open training session, and there would have been about 5,000 fans there. I can remember just running around with the boys, having a bit of fun with it all, and seeing big Marky Ellison addressing the crowd. Ello was about 40, 50 metres away, but I said, I reckon I can hit Ello in the head here. So I kicked it, lobbed it up, and it's hit him straight in the back of the head. But he sort of looked behind. Goes, I knew if that was one bloke, we're on this week.
For me to be picked in the team of 17, very gracious for. Everyone was available. But I think it also shows that it's not about the 17 playing, it's about a squad.
Look, there are players that were sitting outside there that could have potentially been in that team.
I remember our last game against the Roosters. I snapped a medial in the back of my knee and had a grade 2 medial tear. And my knee wasn't 100% right, but I was still trying to push for a spot. Madge got me in the week and said that I'd be 18th man. It was tough to hear. You put so much into a year, but so do all the other players. We're not in the game, but we've got to make sure that we prepare these boys the best we can. And
everyone was just on board, and they had to leave the egos aside, and they got around the squad and made sure that 17 were ready to go on that day. My wife looked after Kathy in a bit of a management role post the Olympics, and she's now a personal friend, and I sort of saw the vision of being in the grand final and having a big moment there, and I thought, well, who better than someone like Kathy Freeman? That's probably one of the most iconic things that's ever happened in Australian sport. We had the captain's run, and I said, I've just got something for you, and opened the door up, and next thing Kathy walked in, and it was silence.
I still speak about that, to be honest. She spoke to us about how important pressure is and how it is a privilege when you get it bestowed on you.
To relate to, you know, what she was feeling at the time, her nerves before the game, the expectation of fans, family. We could draw inspiration, you know, through that.
First time that she returned to the stadium since winning a gold medal was to go and watch our grand final. And I remember the 2000 Olympics. I remember the jumpsuit. I remember watching it, jumping around in my lounge room. 14 years later, she's coming and she's watching us.
It goes down in Australian sporting history. Cathy Freeman winning that, she had no chance of winning it.
Now, we spoke to great Michael Ennis off the top today. Mick, we're still wishing well and praying for you that you can somehow get out there on Sunday night, but if you can't, I know that you'll be still very confident that this is a Bulldogs team that can get the job done.
You know, I'm sure just like Redfern, Belmore was rocking, so we used to stop at this cafe every day to get our coffee. Poor Mick's in crutches and the car gets bombarded and he's like, mate, can we just go? And it was hard because part of the game is not letting the opposition know who's going to play. So the game is Mick's playing. And we knew Madge and South were meticulous in preparation. We wanted them to prepare for Mick and then get something else. I think it was a toss-up between Moses Mbai and Damien Cook. But Moses had been that player that had always come in and probably had more experience in first grade at that time than Cookie. So if anybody went down in the halves, Moses would come in, or in the centres. We were more of a structured team and Cookie was more dynamic and just go, play what you see. Moses probably suited our style more than Cookie. Des looked at it as he was the safer option of the two.
He was a real target through the middle. We wanted him to make multiple tackles per set and isolate him, so we needed George and Tom and Sam.
You know, we're going to get this bloke, we were going for him, and I was just ready to go to war for whatever they said.
Like, we knew a lot of the moves South were going to do. Sam a lot of the time would take the play before a shift. So emphasis would be, if they shift off a quick ruck, we're going to be in trouble. So we need to manage that tackle and slow it down. Greg Inglis at the back of that shift, the threat was certainly run, close down his space, can't afford to give him space. George, obviously, from the carries that he would do, if I'm at mark out, I've got to check the 9 and then go and get George before he could get ahead of steam. For every move they've got another move up their sleeve as well.
The Bulldogs had a shape, we used to call it Graham shape. He'd try and go to the line or play out the back. They put a fullback on his inside to hold the defensive people from the inside of him off him, to give him more time to dig into the line.
The defender, one from the ruck, would think I was going to get the ball and play to the outside, so they would over commit to me, which would then open the gap between a defender and the marker, and then Sam Perrott would be there to take advantage of that gap.
And we worked that out pretty quick. Our marker is going to go hard and cover the fullback on the Graham shape. So what that meant was that if he played out the back or he played short to the person on his outside, is that it was going to happen really early. I remember showing that to the players on grand final week.
Great ball, Issac Luke.
I remember like game day brekkie for the grand final. We went down to Clavelli, we used to go there quite a bit and have like brekkie and swim, and even big Lottie turned up. He was loving it, you know, he was in his last game and he'd been there before. And
now your last grand final was 2000 with the Broncos, a long time ago. Have you noticed a difference in the weeks between now and back then, if you can remember?
I can't remember too much, mate, but the game has definitely changed a hell of a heap. A lot more physical, quicker, and mate, mad. It's a great game now.
I just want to enjoy the whole day. Coming down the hill from Ryde, you can see the stadium in the distance, lights, there's cars on the road everywhere. I love that part of footy in the big games. It's hypnotic.
We all went to the juniors, got a bus from there, and police escort out to the game. I remember getting off the bus and just hearing this loud roar.
I think the pre-game entertainment was Train, I think the band was. Hey, hey. I was singing along in the shed as well. I was relaxed.
I just try to make it as normal as possible.
with what I used to do with all the other game days that I played, and except I chucked about 40 more pisses than I normally did. Yeah, I was literally pissing myself.
Me and Trent Hockington split the captaincy duties on the day, did the toss, meeting John Sutton. I was like, I think he looks nervous. Before the referee could ask, I said, we're kicking off. I don't care which way we're running, but we're going to kick off. I went into the dressing room and was like, lads, Sutton looks nervous in there. Don't know what the rest of the team are feeling like.
Game's two legends, Canterbury's Les Johns and South Sydney's Bobby McCarthy, who played when these teams last met in the grand final in 1967. Spud Carroll is going to hand the bell over. The NRL has asked these legends to be a part of this historic moment to welcome the 2014 Telstra Premiership Grand Final teams to the field.
Well, Russell Crowe rang me up and said, will you do us a favour and ring the bell? I said, I'd love to. And I said, what do you want me to do? He said, just ring it. And then about 5 minutes later, he rang back. He said, now listen, that bell's over 100 years old. I said, yeah. He said, well, don't ring it like that. He said, because the things like that come out and hit you in the head. Tom, he said, ring it downwards. The people said, looking from the other side, Bob, it looked very, you're doing something else to yourself when... I said, I never thought of that. I said, did it look that bad? I said, yeah, and I thought, oh, geez, I must be an idiot, you know.
Let's listen now, because these moments have been 43 years in the making. South Sydney finally walking out for another grand final. Let's let the crowd tell the story.
I remember running out and I was just looking at the crowd, soaking it all in.
What an unbelievable moment in rugby league.
We all get out there. There's a squad man twiddling our thumbs for about 30 seconds a minute. Where are the dogs?
We're waiting and they're still in the sheds.
Hasler's making them wait.
I think Des thought, well, we'll just delay us going out. So we get the knock, or the bell goes, 2-minute warning, just ignore it. We knew what was going on. And maybe Souths would get that nervous energy and be hit by that.
When you look on the big screen, you could see what the players were doing. They weren't in a huddle. They were all walking to their bags. So we sort of were looking across at each other saying, like, they're way off. Like, what are they doing? They're taking the mickey out of us.
I think we were out there for like 2 or 3 minutes on our own. So we could all just sort of relax, enjoy the moment.
Take me now, I've seen it all. I wouldn't want to be any other place on earth right now.
So yeah, we just got a footy and we started doing a bit of catch and pass, being super relaxed, and it is what it is. They want to play these games. Leave us out here, that's fine. We'll do what we need to because we're ready.
The telecast as Canterbury come down the raceway behind their joint captains. Listen to this.
Everybody in sport lives in a bubble, and we were in the Belmore bubble, and we were like, there is nothing bigger than the Bulldogs right now. When I went out to the field, I thought there'd be way more Bulldogs fans there than South. I was like, oh, there's more of them than there is of us.
Having 20 minutes, crucial in this 80-minute contest.
We were always going to kick right. I favoured my right shoulder, so I want us to kick to our right. Who takes that first carry? It's one of the 2 front rowers. Dave, I'm thinking, yeah. George, I'm like, that's going to be tough. And I'm stood there and I go, that's Sam. What's he doing there?
That is where I should have been standing. Said, swap with me.
Kick it deep. I want to put on a big shot.
And here's the kickoff. We're underway. One of the most awaited grand finals of all time.
I was running down, and I can close my eyes, I can time travel, and I can almost see the sort of 30-metre line.
Burgess and taken by Graham. And Tolman, the polar bear.
It really did feel like a normal tackle. And I had no idea what was going on.
And Burgess has come away pointing at his cheekbone, I think.
He came running straight back to me and said, I broke my cheekbone. He didn't have to even say that. It was just an indent right where his cheekbone was. And I just said, yeah, you have. You've broken the cheekbone, go to Troy.
I said, look, Sam, you know, you're going to have to keep going here. He says, yeah, I'm okay. And my immediate response was to get back to the bench, and I radioed that up to the coach's box to say that Sam Burgess has just fractured his cheekbone in the first tackle of the grand final. And Madge came back and said, well, this is your John Sattler moment.
If anyone was going to get through that, Big Sammy was. I said, mate, remind him about these things can be done.
Standing wide, Sattler takes the ball on the burst. From the fringe of the ruck, Sattler's able to muster pace, and breaking through tackles has Moses running off him. Sattler is closed upon by McDonald and Halden.
Let's just see how he goes.
Well, the people at the ground won't know that Sam Burgess is in pain, and nor will many of his teammates, and he's doing his best not to let on at all.
Instant numbness all the way down through the right side of my face. I knew I was in a bit of trouble.
Well, here he is with the ball now. Talk about John Sattler in 1970. We've got, I think, something similar here.
My main focus was, can I do my job? And am I going to let the side down? So I thought, well, best not waste any time.
Sam, I think you need to go off. You've got to face like a drop pie.
He leads and doesn't come back. We're in massive trouble here because he's obviously our spiritual leader. I was like,
he just looked at me so powerfully and he just said, I'm here for you today, brother. I'm here for you.
You only have so much you can give, and we were willing to go above and beyond.
Oh, Kirill, hammered by Graham.
Lots of fuss. So I'll just pick that up again.
Who are you most scared of?
Issac Luke. He's got a big head and small body, so I look like a little gremlin.
Okay, what best song describes you?
I like strawberries, so I'm going to have to say Nikki Webster, Strawberry Kisses. You know, girls can't get enough of them strawberry kisses, you know.